So Joe, it's lovely to speak to you today about Drinking Buddies. Now, you've worked on it in a little bit of a different way than you have on your previous films, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you actually said that it feels like you were finally making your first feature. Now, tell me why that is and how it differed.
Well, when I got out of film school, I feel like I spent a lot of years trying to reinvent the way movies were made. You know, sort of taking the things that I hadn't liked about the process and sort of throwing that all away and starting from nothing and trying to sort of craft these movies out of, like, staring into the void and trying to create a movie. And with Drinking Buddies, I sort of happily re-embraced the traditional filmmaking process, the thing that people have been working towards for over 100 years now, you know. So it was fun to kind of come back and embrace film language and traditional pre-production, production, post-production process. You know, I finally made a movie, just a normal movie.
And you were working with crew as well for the first time, weren't you?
Yeah, I'd gone from crew, you know, typically like on my movies there's a crew of 2 or 3 people to this one had, you know, 30 or 40 people every day, so.
That's quite some leap, isn't it, as well? And although the dialogue is improvised, it's heavily plotted, the script, isn't it? So tell me how that worked.
Yeah, I wrote about a 45-page script, not that the actors saw that, but just as an internal document for the producers to use, for the art department, the wardrobe department. So that was new for me, but you know, I worked with the actors in the same way that I always have, which is they saw an outline that was just kind of a bullet-pointed 2-page thing that with a simple 1-sentence description of each scene. So they had a sense of the shape of the story, but on a scene-by-scene basis, all the dialogue's improvised, and we're sort of it's constantly evolving, and as the actors get to know the characters better, and as I get to know the story better, it's loose enough to sort of shift with that.
It's about the 4 people who are in the poster behind us, and they, some of them work in the world of craft beer, don't they?
Yes.
And you're a lover of craft beer yourself, aren't you?
Very much, yeah.
And I believe that you did a bit of home brewing with Jake Johnson and Olivia Wilde. How did that go down?
It was great. That's the first thing we did. Right when they got to town, they came over to my house and we made a beer together. Well, they had a lot to learn. I mean, we only had a few days to get them up to speed. And not just with the concept of brewing, but with the language of it and a familiarity with it. Because there's we see Jake brewing in the movie. Thankfully, I had some nice help. My friend Kate Thomas, who works at Half Acre in Chicago, sort of was very helpful with Olivia, not only in talking about the job, but about what it's like to be a woman in a very sort of guy-centric industry. And then my friend Andrew Mason, who brews at Three Floyds, allowed all of us to sort of come in, and he showed them the brewing process before we shot at Revolution. And then the guys at Revolution, the actual brewers at Revolution Brewery, were really great with Jake and sort of took him under their wing and taught him a lot about brewing. And they were actually brewing while we were shooting there. So everything you see Jake doing in the movie, that's real beer that's going to go out into the world. So it was really fun to kind of be in that live environment and actually like throw Jake into the real brewing process.
So someone somewhere has been drinking a beer that's been brewed by Jake Johnson.
That's right. At least, yeah, he poured hops into the kettle at the very least.
Now, you compared in the past the world of craft beer to the world of indie film. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that. Well,
they're both industries that are full of people who are doing it because they're passionate about it, not because they want to make a lot of money. And I feel like that comes through in the films that you see and also in the beer that you drink. And both industries are confronting similar challenges. I mean, with craft beer, they're competing with InBev and all these like major conglomerates for shelf space, not just at liquor stores, but at grocery stores and things like that. And in the indie film world, we're competing with Hollywood for screen space. But it's the same challenge, which is that the macro breweries and the big Hollywood movies are paying for the placement at theaters, and they're paying for the commercials on TV, and they're paying for all of that awareness, and craft breweries and independent filmmakers are hoping to gain that awareness through the quality of their work. And so I really relate to the specific challenges that craft breweries face.
Now, you've said, though, for the first time ever, that you kind of feel open maybe to doing a little bit of a bigger budget film. What would your ideal project be if you could pick anything?
That's interesting. You know, a few years ago, I would have said that the ideal project would have been something about John Adams, but then HBO did that John Adams miniseries, and I feel like Tom Hanks produced that. Tom Hanks beat me to the punch. He's somebody I've always been fascinated by and sort of hoped to do that. Now I think, honestly, if I had unlimited money and there were no commercial constraints, my dream project would be something that traced beer from its sort of accidental origins through the modern brewing industry, like some sort of like big historical epic about the invention of beer and how it's sort of changed and moved through society.
Oh, cool! I'd love to see that. Definitely,
right? It could be good. Yeah,
it could be really good. And I was thinking, anyway, when I read that you'd said that, I was thinking, oh yes, kind of in a little way, it reminds me of someone like Colin Trevorrow, who did Safety Not Guaranteed. He's kind of moved up now to something like Jurassic Park 4, hasn't he? Flipping heck. Yeah. Would you be up for doing something mega big like that?
I would. I certainly am at a point in my career where I'm open to everything. I'm not getting those job offers, and additionally, I just don't think that way yet. I mean, it's very hard for me to even visualize a film outside of the range of what I could actually make. And the stories that are appealing to me are still character-driven human stories. They don't involve dinosaurs or flying or things like that. So I certainly am open to the fun, exciting challenge of doing something like that, but it's years off, certainly.
So one day we might see you indulging a bit of green screen.
Maybe. I don't even know how all of it works. Honestly, I'm technically inept when it comes to that. So I would need to be surrounded by a very veteran crew of technicians.
Well, I think you're very modest because, I mean, you've done so much and so many different jobs on all of your films so far that I'm sure it wouldn't be something you'd have a problem dealing with.
If talented people were there, I could just rely on them.
Definitely. It's always good to have talented people there, isn't it? Now, you're working on your next film again with Anna Kendrick, aren't you? It's called Happy Christmas. Tell me a little bit about that and what it's like working with her for the second time.
Sure. Well, it's a lot of fun. I do tend to work with the same actors a lot because I feel like, especially with improv, we can get a little deeper each time, and there's more familiarity and comfort with the sort of working method. This one's about, I act in this one with Melanie Linsky. We play a young couple with a kid. My real son plays my son in the film. So we're starting our own family, and we have a 2-year-old, and Anna plays my little sister who moves into our basement. So it's sort of about this young family raising 2 children, a 2-year-old and a 25-year-old. Wow. And all of the sort of family dynamics involved in that.
Cool. And after that?
I don't know, actually. It's the first time in a long time that I don't know what I'm going to make next. There's a lot. I'm reading a lot of scripts. I'm writing a script for the first time. And there's several TV projects that I'm talking to various people about. So I'm sort of going to take some time off, let Happy Christmas get out into the world, and hopefully I'll be engaged in whatever that next thing is, like later this year or early next year.
Finally, how does it feel to be in that position where you don't quite know what's happening next?
It's a nice, welcome change, I have to say. After so much productivity over the last 5 years, it's a bit of a relief to know, like, I'm going to fly home from here back to Chicago, and it's very nice feeling like I'm not diving right back into another production. I'm just going to spend some time being a husband, being a father, taking care of the house, things like that.
Well, you enjoy that time, Joe, and very much look forward to Happy Christmas and future projects, and good luck with Drinking Buddies too.
Thank you very much.